A dramatic claim from Iran is raising serious questions about a possible escalation between Tehran and Washington. Iran says it successfully hit a U.S. aircraft carrier with missiles and drones.
New images near the Strait of Hormuz off Iran, where new attacks are now sending oil prices on another wild ride today.
4:17 a.m. local time on March 19, 2026. 7 separate encrypted radio pulses transmit across a 180-mile arc of Iranian coastline east of the Strait of Hormuz. Each pulse lasts 0.3 seconds. Each carries a single ignition command. All 7 transmit within a window of 14 seconds. The window is not accidental. 14 seconds is the exact interval the Iranian Aerospace Force calculated would fragment the American satellite constellation's thermal signature resolution algorithm across 7 separate bloom events, preventing any automated system from classifying them as a coordinated salvo in the first 40 seconds after launch. Their calculation was accurate. The American systems needed 47 seconds. But that is the end of the story. The beginning is this. In 7 hardened launch positions spread across a 180-mile coastal arc, I-7 transporter erector launchers begin their hydraulic rise. The weapon on each launcher is 10.5 meters long. Each weighs 1,820 kilograms at launch. That is 70 kilograms heavier than the missiles Iran fired the last time. That 70 kilograms is not additional fuel. It is a redesigned maneuvering re-entry vehicle housing, triple-layered in asymmetric thermal protection ceramic on 3 panels, dual-layered on the remaining 2, and carrying an upgraded terminal guidance processor built directly around the telemetry data that Al-Qadr 3 transmitted home in real time before it was destroyed. Each of the 7 is an Al-Qadr, but these 7 are not the Al-Qadrs that came before them. These 7 are what Al-Qadr 3 asked to be built when it sent 340 kilobytes of terminal phase flight data home in its final 4.1 seconds of life. The target is the USS Gerald R. She is running 18 knots on a heading of 231 degrees, 22 miles inside the western mouth of the Strait of Hormuz. She displaces 100,000 tons fully loaded. She carries 5,000 personnel and an air wing currently valued at $14.3 billion. She is still the most advanced aircraft carrier ever built by any nation in human history. Tonight, 7 of the most precisely engineered weapons Iran has ever manufactured are flying toward her at the same time. If you want the complete truth about what happened in the next 23 minutes, hit like right now so this story reaches the people who need to hear it. Al-Qadr 1 ignites at 4:17 a.m. and 18 seconds from a position 71 miles north-northeast of the ford, inside a reinforced tunnel bay carved beneath a mountain irrigation facility outside the city of Gerald. Its exhaust column vents through a pre-cut shaft in the facility's roof and paints the infrared constellation overhead with a bloom that is immediately classified as a ballistic missile launch. 19 seconds later, Al-Qadr 2 ignites from a mobile transporter erector launcher concealed inside a granite ridgeline cut 52 miles north of the strait. Al-Qadr 3 lifts from a coastal installation east of Bandar Abbas at 4:17 and 29 seconds. Al-Qadr 4, the sea-launched one, and the one that will cause the most problems, comes off a converted commercial cargo vessel anchored 41 miles due north of the ford's current position at 4:17 and 36 seconds. Its launch elevation is 21 degrees, not the standard 72-degree profile used by every ground-based launcher in the formation. A flat trajectory, a different intercept geometry. Exactly as designed. Al-Qadr 5 ignites at 4:17 and 42 seconds from a tunnel facility 84 miles northeast, angled to arrive on a terminal approach vector that forces the ford's rear-facing defensive systems into their weakest engagement cone. Al-Qadr 6 ignites at 4:17 and 48 seconds from an inland valley position 91 miles north, its trajectory calculated to arrive at the moment the strike group's SM-3 inventory is deepest into its reload cycle. Al-Qadr 7, the last one, the one the Iranian Aerospace Force planning staff spent the most time on, ignites at 4:17 and 52 seconds from a fortified bunker complex 78 miles northeast on a combined trajectory and timing that positions its warhead to arrive at terminal engagement altitude exactly 11 seconds after Al-Qadr 5, and at an angular bearing 38 degrees offset from Al-Qadr 5's vector, requiring the ford's close-in weapon systems to simultaneously engage 2 maneuvering warheads from separate bearing quadrants within the same 11-second window. Iran did not fire 5 missiles. Iran fired 7 missiles from 7 different bearings on 7 precisely staggered arrival timings, each one designed to exhaust a different layer of the strike group's defensive stack before the one behind it arrived. The Ford's strike group has 5 escort vessels in formation tonight. The USS Leyte Gulf, a Ticonderoga-class cruiser, holds screening position 9 nautical miles north of the Ford. The USS Stout, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, is 12 miles to the northwest. The USS Winston Churchill sits 10 miles to the southwest. The USS Farragut is posted 15 miles due east. And tonight, there is a 5th ship that was not in formation last time. The USS Nitze, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, repositioned from a patrol track east of the strait 34 hours ago when satellite intelligence detected elevated launcher activation activity at 3 separate Iranian coastal installations. The Nitze is posted 17 miles northeast of the Ford, placed directly in the angular approach corridor that Al-Qadr 5, 6, and 7 are all flying. The cooperative engagement capability links all 5 escorts and the Ford into a single shared sensor picture. Every radar return any ship in the formation sees is shared with every other ship in under 1 second. 7 Al-Qadr launch signatures appear simultaneously on every combat information center screen in the strike group at 4:18 and 05 seconds, now 47 seconds after Al-Qadr 1's ignition. Comment 7 below. If you think 7 missiles at once changes every calculation America thought it had already solved about carrier defense. Here is the problem the Ford's strike group faces at 4:18 a.m. 7 simultaneous ballistic missile tracks approaching from 7 different bearings require 7 separate SM-3 firing solutions. Each SM-3 firing solution requires the launch ship to dedicate a fire control channel to that specific track. The Leyte Gulf has 2 SM-3 fire control channels, the Stout has 2, the Winston Churchill has 2, the Farragut has 2, the Nitze has 2. 10 available SM-3 fire control channels across the entire strike group. Iran sent 7 missiles. The math looks manageable until you account for the decoys. At 4:18 and 29 seconds, MiG-27 Shahed 136 loitering munitions crossed the northern horizon of the strike group's radar coverage on a bearing from the Keshem Island coastline. Each Shahed costs approximately $20,000. 27 of them cost $540,000 combined. Their radar cross-sections in the frequency band used by the Spy-6 radar aboard the Ford are not identical to a ballistic missile track. They are not supposed to be. They are supposed to be different enough from the Al-Qadr tracks that the fire control computers must classify each one individually and decide whether it represents a threat that requires an interceptor. Each classification decision takes between 4 and 12 seconds, depending on the track's flight behavior. Iran sent 27 of them to consume classification compute cycles across all 6 ships at the exact moment those same computers are trying to build clean firing solutions on 7 Al-Qadr tracks simultaneously. The Ford's Combat Information Center logs 34 active threat tracks at 4:18 and 41 seconds, 7 ballistic, 27 subsonic. Every screen in the CIC is populated. Every watch officer is working. The classification computer on the Leyte Gulf flags 5 of the 27 Shahed tracks as requiring SM-2 interceptor responses before they reach the Ford's close-in engagement envelope. The Leyte Gulf fires 5 SM-2 missiles at 4:18 and 53 seconds. Each SM-2 costs $600,000, $3 million in 7 seconds, to neutralize drones that cost $100,000 combined. While the SM-2s are climbing toward their drone targets, the Leyte Gulf's first SM-3 Block 2A fires at Al-Qadr 1 at 4:19 and 11 seconds. Al-Qadr 2 is already through its boost phase, climbing through 68,000 feet on an intercept trajectory that the Stout's fire control computer resolves at 4:19 and 17 seconds. The Stout fires 2 SM-3 Block 2 as in a ripple salvo 7 seconds apart. Each costs $28 million. $56 million leaves the Stout's forward vertical launch cells in under 10 seconds. Type yes. If you want to see every single Al-Qadr tested against the most expensive missile defense net America has ever deployed over a single body of water, Al-Qadr 3 is the one that breaks the outer pattern first. Its boost phase ends 5 seconds earlier than the other 6. A deliberate design modification that shortens its observable boost signature and compresses the time the Leyte Gulf has to build a clean firing solution. The Leyte Gulf fires a single SM-3 at Al-Qadr 3 at 4:19 and 38 seconds. With a fire-controlled geometry, the weapons officer rates at 71% probability of kill. In a training environment, that shot does not get fired. Tonight, it does. The SM-3 misses Al-Qadr. 3's upper stage by 9 meters, close enough that its proximity fuse should have triggered. It does not. The fuse, which requires an 8-meter proximity threshold, reads 9 meters and does not fire. Al-Qadr 3 continues on trajectory. The Leyte Gulf fires its second SM-3 allocated to Al-Qadr 3 at 4:19 and 54 seconds. This one achieves a direct kinetic hit on Al-Qadr 3's upper stage at 4:20 and 51 seconds. I'm 84 miles above the Strait of Hormuz. The upper stage destructs. The maneuvering re-entry vehicle separates cleanly, exactly as the engineers designed it to. The warhead is falling free. Its laser gyroscope is active. Its terminal guidance is running. Its northern thermal protection panel took partial damage from the intercept event, but it is flying. Al-Qadr 4 is the sea-launched one, the one that came off the cargo vessel. Its trajectory is flatter than the others, because its launch elevation was only 21 degrees rather than the standard 72-degree profile. The Winston Churchill, which has the best angular geometry on Al-Qadr 4, fires two SM-3 Block 2As at 4:20 and 03 seconds and 4:20 and 11 seconds. The first SM-3 achieves intercept at 4:21 and 22 seconds and destroys Al-Qadr 4's entire upper stage, including its maneuvering re-entry vehicle. Clean kill, total destruction, nothing falls toward the forward from Al-Qadr 4. Al-Qadr 5 and Al-Qadr 6 are now the NITSA's primary engagement problem. The NITSA, positioned specifically in the northeastern approach corridor, fires two SM-3 Block 2As at Al-Qadr 5 at 4:20 and 17 seconds and 4:20 and 25 seconds. The first achieves a direct upper stage hit at 4:21 and 18 seconds and destroys it. The maneuvering re-entry vehicle separates and is now falling. The NITSA immediately transitions its second fire control channel to Al-Qadr 6 and fires at 4:20 and 44 seconds. That SM-3 achieves partial intercept on Al-Qadr 6 at 4:21 and 49 seconds, destroying the terminal guidance processor in the upper stage. The maneuvering re-entry vehicle separates, but its guidance is dead. Al-Qadr 6's warhead is now falling ballistically, predictable, targetable, but still falling toward the forward. Share this video right now so people understand that 7 missiles fired simultaneously from 7 different bearings is not an attack. It is a research program with live targets. Al-Qadr 1 and Al-Qadr 2 are still flying. The Leyte Gulf's SM-3 on Al-Qadr 1 scored a partial hit at 4:20 and 33 seconds that destroyed the upper stage guidance section, but left the maneuvering re-entry vehicle structurally intact. It separated and is descending under its own internal navigation, running on 78% of its designed thruster authority. That is more maneuvering capability remaining at this stage of descent than any Iranian warhead has ever retained over this strait before it. Al-Qadr 2 was targeted by the Stout's two SM-3s. The first hit Al-Qadr 2's upper stage cleanly at 4:20 and 47 seconds and destroyed it. The maneuvering re-entry vehicle separated. The Stout's second SM-3, now tracking a debris field instead of a coherent target, detonates in proximity and achieves classified partial destruction of Al-Qadr 2's maneuvering thruster package. The Al-Qadr 2 warhead is now falling with severely limited lateral authority. Al-Qadr 7 has not been engaged yet. It is still in its boost phase at 4:20 and 58 seconds, climbing on its deliberately delayed trajectory from the northeastern bunker complex. Flying the exact approach vector the Iranian planning staff engineered to arrive when the NITSA is deepest into its reload cycle after engaging 5 and 6 simultaneously. The Farragut, posted on the Ford's eastern quarter, specifically because of threat vectors from the northeast, begins its SM-3 firing solution on Al-Qadr 7 at 4:21 and 06 seconds. The Farragut fires two SM-3 Block 2 as at 4:21 and 18 seconds and 4:21 and 27 seconds. The first achieves a direct hit on Al-Qadr 7's upper stage at 4:22 and 09 seconds and destroys it completely. The maneuvering re-entry vehicle separates, falls free. The strike group now has 5 separate maneuvering re-entry vehicles in various states of damage falling toward the forward. Al-Qadr 6's warhead is ballistic and predictable. Al-Qadr 2's warhead has severely limited lateral authority. Al-Qadr 1's, 3's, and 7's warheads are still maneuvering at varying degrees of capability, and none of them have been finally destroyed. If what Iran built for this attack shocked you, comment saturation below right now. The Lady Gulf, the Stout, the Nitsa, and the Farragut all transition to SM-6 engagement mode simultaneously. The SM-6 is not a space interceptor. It is an atmospheric terminal defense missile with an active radar seeker in its nose. It costs $4.3 million per round. At 4:21 and 33 seconds, the Lady Gulf fires a 4-round SM-6 salvo, 2 aimed at Al-Qadr 1's warhead and 2 aimed at Al-Qadr 3's warhead. The Stout fires a 3-round SM-6 salvo 9 seconds later, targeting Al-Qadr 2's warhead and Al-Qadr 7's warhead. The Nitsa fires 2 SM-6 rounds at 4:21 and 52 seconds at Al-Qadr 5's warhead. The Farragut fires 2 SM-6 rounds at 4:22 and 01 seconds at Al-Qadr 3's warhead, which has already pulled 4 separate lateral maneuvers since dropping below 88,000 feet, and is the most aggressively maneuvering Iranian warhead that has ever entered the terminal phase over this strait. 11 SM-6 missiles are airborne simultaneously over the Strait of Hormuz. Combined cost of the SM-6 salvo, $47.3 million. They were in the air for a combined total of less than 35 seconds before the first intercept. Al-Qadr 6's warhead, Ballistic, and guidance dead is hit by the Stout's first SM-6 at 4:22 and 17 seconds at 24,000 feet, 16 miles northwest of the ford. But the SM-6's blast fragmentation warhead expands through the Al-Qadr 6 warhead at 5,200 meters per second. The warhead disintegrates. Fragments fall to open water. None reach the ford. Al-Qadr 2's warhead is hit by the Lady Gulf's 3rd SM-6 at 4:22 and 29 seconds at 31,000 feet. Direct hit. The warhead is destroyed. Al-Qadr 7's warhead pulls a 16G lateral maneuver at 4:22 and 34 seconds, attempting to break the Farragut's SM-6 tracking solution. The Stout's 2nd SM-6, assigned Al-Qadr 7 from a perpendicular approach vector, locks on the maneuvering warhead at 6.1 miles and follows it through the entire 16G turn. The SM-6 closes to 14 meters and detonates. Al-Qadr 7's navigation system ceases to function. Its maneuvering thrusters cease to function. It becomes a hypersonic fragment cloud falling into the Gulf 21 miles north of the ford. Al-Qadr 5's warhead is hit by the Nitsa's first SM-6 at 4:22 and 41 seconds at 26,500 feet. Direct hit. Warhead destroyed. Al-Qadr 1's warhead is hit by the Lady Gulf's first SM-6 at 4:22 and 48 seconds at 33,000 feet. The SM-6's active seeker locked at 6.8 miles and guided autonomously to impact. Direct hit. The warhead is destroyed. Al-Qadr 3's warhead is the last one alive. It has taken more punishment than any Iranian weapon ever flown in combat. The Lady Gulf's SM-3 scored a partial thermal protection hit on it. The Farragut's first SM-6 missed by 28 meters. The Lady Gulf's second SM-6 missed by 19 meters. The warhead is running on 31% of its lateral thruster authority, but it is still flying. Its laser gyroscope is still active, and it is transmitting. At 4:22 and 58 seconds, Al-Qadr 3's warhead drops through 16,400 feet on a terminal descent that the ford's own Combat Information Center has been tracking since 4:21 and 17 seconds. Its predicted impact point at this altitude resolves to a 70-meter circle centered 140 meters forward of the ford's island superstructure. The ford's 2 Ram launchers fire simultaneously at 4:23 and 04 seconds. The rolling airframe missile system costs $990,000 per round. 4 rounds leave the ford in under 3 seconds. The first Ram round misses the Al-Qadr 3 warhead by 6 meters, detonating in proximity and removing the warhead's 2 remaining functional lateral thrusters entirely. The second Ram round hits the warhead directly at 7,800 feet, 5.9 miles north of the ford. The warhead, many structurally compromised from 5 separate intercept events, shatters. Its internal navigation array shatters. Its detonation assembly shatters. The largest single piece of Al-Qadr 3 that falls toward the Gulf is 19 centimeters long. On the USS Gerald R. Ford's bridge at 4:40 a.m. and 43 seconds, which is to say 23 minutes and 25 seconds after Al-Qadr 1 ignited, the Air Defense Coordinator reports splash on the final inbound track. The ford holds ship defense condition 1 for 13 additional minutes, while the debris field is confirmed clear. and the Shahed drone threat is fully neutralized. The last Shahed is shot down by the Winston Churchill's Phalanx CYWS at 4:41 and 09 seconds. The entire sky over the western Strait of Hormuz is then empty. Now run the numbers. Iran's 7 Al-Qadr missiles cost approximately $4.1 million each to manufacture in their upgraded configuration. 7 of them totaled $28.7 million. The 27 Shahed 136 drones cost $540,000. The sea-based launch platform and 6 ground-based launch facility preparations cost an estimated combined $4.4 million. The total Iranian expenditure for this attack was approximately $33.6 million. The United States fired the following interceptors: 5 SEM-2 missiles at $600,000 each, $3 million; 9 SM-3 Block 2 is at $28 million each, $252 million; 11 SM-6 missiles at $4.3 million each, $47.3 million; 4 RAM rounds at $990,000 each, $3.96 million. Total American expenditure to defend the fort tonight, $306.26 million. Iran's exchange ratio was 1 to 9.1. Yet for every dollar Iran spent, America spent 9. In a room in Tehran, someone has already written that number on a whiteboard. Underneath it, they have written how many 7-missile salvo attacks of this design Iran can execute for the total cost of the interceptors that defeated this one. The answer is 9. If those numbers made your stomach drop, comment ratio below right now, because the people running these calculations in Tehran have been doing this math for years, and they are convinced the ratio improves every single time they fire. The Ford is still sailing. She is not damaged. She is not stopped. Her air wing is intact. Her crew is at full combat readiness. The Lady Gulf has already begun receiving replacement SM-3 and SM-6 rounds from the ammunition ship trailing 19 nautical miles southeast. Now, the strike group will be at full interceptor inventory within 7 hours. But Iran proved something tonight, with 7 missiles that 5 could only suggest. They proved that a coordinated salvo attack precisely engineered around American intercept timing constraints, cooperative engagement saturation limits, and SM-3 reload cycle vulnerabilities can force the United States to spend $306 million in 23 minutes. The Ford was never going to be hit. The Iranian engineers knew the Ford was probably not going to be hit. That was not the point. The point was to learn which of the 7 warhead designs survived deepest into the American defensive stack, which trajectory produced the worst SM-3 firing solution geometry, which terminal maneuver profile came closest to defeating the SM-6 tracking algorithm, and whether the upgraded thermal protection casing derived from Al-Qadr 3's original telemetry extended proximity detonation survival time. Al-Qadr 3 answered every single one of those questions simultaneously, and this time it answered them from 7,800 feet. The first time a version of this warhead flew over this water, the outer layers killed it at 81 miles altitude. Tonight it reached 7,800 feet before the RAM round found it. In 60 days, when the Iranian Aerospace Force completes the next production batch, they will build them to fly like this Al-Qadr 3 flew. Except they will fix the thruster fuel budget that cost it lateral authority at 31%. They will reinforce the thermal protection casing on the 2 panels that showed damage signatures in this flight profile. And they will adjust the terminal guidance timing to account for the Ford's specific RAM launcher engagement trigger geometry, which the warhead's onboard laser gyroscope recorded and transmitted home in real time before it was destroyed. That transmission began at 4:22 and 53 seconds. It lasted 4.1 seconds. It contained 340 kilobytes of terminal phase flight data. Nobody on the Ford's bridge knows it happened yet. At 4:44 a.m., 8F/A18F. Super Hornets from the Ford's air wing are already over the eastern Strait of Hormuz, assigned to the 7 launch sites identified by launch detection satellites during the attack. Each aircraft carries 4 GBU-31 Joint Direct Attack munitions, 32 bombs total. Each GBU-31 costs approximately $25,000. $800,000 in precision munitions assigned across 7 hardened targets. The sea launch platform is already gone. It scuttled itself via remote command 6 minutes after Al-Qadr 4's launch, now sitting 34 meters below the surface. The 2 Super Hornets assigned to its GPS coordinates dropped their bombs on water. The bombs hit the surface. The platform is beneath them. The 5 remaining launch sites take full bomb packages. The tunnel facility outside Giroft that launched Al-Qadr 1 is struck by 8 GBU-31s in a sequenced pattern that collapses the underground bay, destroys all access infrastructure, and ignites a secondary explosion from stored solid propellant visible from 44 miles away. The mobile launcher site in the granite ridgeline that launched Al-Qadr 2 is struck, and the ridgeline cut is sealed with rubble. The coastal installation east of Bandar Abbas that launched Al-Qadr 3 is destroyed to its foundations. The inland valley position that launched Al-Qadr 6 receives 6 direct hits. The northeastern bunker complex that launched Al-Qadr 7 receives 7 direct hits. It will not launch again. Iran's state media will describe all 7 sites as civilian infrastructure. Commercial satellite imagery will tell a different story within 3 hours, exactly as it always does. 7 Al-Qadr missiles, 7 separate launch platforms, 27 Shahed drones, 1 scuttled sea launch vessel, 18 months of engineering rebuilt from the telemetry of a single warhead that died over this same water. The most sophisticated coordinated ballistic missile attack any non-superpower nation has ever attempted against a deployed carrier strike group in history. And the USS Gerald R. Ford resumed flight operations at 4:58 a.m., 41 minutes after the first Al-Qadr left the ground. The catapults launched the delayed patrol package. The aircraft ran their assigned tracks over the strait as if the previous 23 minutes were a training exercise. They were not a training exercise. What they were was a very expensive 23-minute proof that Iran's best current engineers cannot yet build a warhead that survives every layer America has placed between a missile and a carrier deck. Not yet. But Al-Qadr 3 descended to 7,800 feet. That is not a failure. That is a measurement. Iran now knows precisely how deep their best current weapon can reach into the American defensive stack. And somewhere east of the Strait of Hormuz, in a facility that appears on no officially published Iranian military map, the engineers who built Al-Qadr 3 are looking at 340 kilobytes of terminal phase flight data their missile transmitted home before it died, and they are already building the next one. They are not building it to reach 7,800 feet. They are building it to go lower. If this video showed you something the mainstream coverage will never explain, smash that like button right now, drop forward in the comments so I know you made it all the way to the end, and subscribe because next week we are going inside every byte of that 340 kilobyte transmission, exactly what Al-Qadr 3 recorded about the Ford's ram engagement geometry in its final 4 seconds, what those numbers mean for the warhead currently being assembled, and what the next salvo looks like when Iran decides 7 missiles are not enough. You do not want to miss that one.